What is up, fellow hunters? We finally got all of the goodness, the juicy details. We finally got the Monster Hunter Wilds demo. Now, yesterday was opening night live at Gamescom, and if you, like me, were a little bit disappointed by the overall nothing burger that we got out of the trailer that Capcom presented, I will put a card up on the video where you can also go watch that. You can digest some of the thoughts with me or just commiserate with me with the lack of information that we got. But despite the fact that we haven't gotten a playable demo ourselves yet, or we haven't gotten a release date, Capcom definitely had something in store, and it shows because they cooked, and this morning they had their first developer live stream over at Gamescom, which if you didn't watch all of the hour and 42 minutes of it, like I did, we'll go over a lot of the beats, a lot of the things that are completely confirmed, a lot of the things that we were suspecting that are also confirmed, some of the things that were observations and things that just I wasn't expecting at all and kind of had my mind blown. This is hype. This is hype. I'm really excited about that. So let's dive in, because this is a lot to cover. I've got my notes off on the side here, so if I'm glancing at that, it's because there's a page, an entire page of notes that I want to cover in this video. But we started off, there was an introduction, but the thing that I think I want to call attention to first off and foremost is right here. If you notice something, it's not the MCs, it's not the hosts here, it's also not the Monster Hunter Wilds and Capcom logos overlaid with one another. No, it's right here. Right here. This demo is playing on PS5 hardware. Now, I had done a video prior, it was one of my earliest Monster Hunter Wilds videos, where I was citing some of the concerns that I had had. In fact, I think it was the very first video that I had done, and there were some people who disagreed with me, and respectfully, I understand why. But the reality is that the PS5 is aging hardware. It's having a hard time pushing a lot of modern games. I mean, Final Fantasy 16 was one of them that really stuck out to me. Even Wild Hearts had its issues as well. It's aging. We don't have the PS5 Pro yet. I'll put a link to that video up here as well, up in the corner. But bottom line, the demo runs great. Like really good, and this is going to be a visual treat for our PS5 players that are out there. I'm going to be playing it on PC myself, but we'll have crossplay. Now, they tried to get multiplayer working in their demo today, and unfortunately they were not able to get that demo going multiplayer. They were having some technical issues. It took about 10 or almost 15 minutes trying to get that worked out, as they were kind of chit-chatting about some of the new things that they were excited about. Jono did a good job of filling in the gaps, and the reality is they just said, hey, the show must go on. So they only did the single player experience. Fair enough. But tomorrow they're looking to work out all the kinks and getting the multiplayer experience in the developer live stream on day 2. So there is going to be one tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern time or 4 a.m. Pacific, and then there's going to be one on Friday as well. Now, with that being said, there's a bit of a win, because they weren't able to do the multiplayer, and I'll get into that because that confirms something that I was suspicious of in some of the prior trailers that we had gotten, specifically from the State of Play and from the Summer Game Fest trailers. But more on that in a minute. Now, they had jumped in, we had Yuya Tokuda, who was the one who was playing the game. And I'm going to skip through here just a bit, where Yuya Tokuda was going through the equipment box. He was going through some of the different items in the equipment for showcase purposes, of course, but he did also comment, and this is where it was mentioned that, hey, outfits are no longer gendered. You can have any outfit that you want. You can wear the lady's outfit, you can wear the gentleman's outfit, regardless of the presenting gender of your hunter. So if you want to wear that new Lala dress, but you have those big masculine arms, hey, you can do that. Live your best life. We're here for it, but at the very least, it'll allow for a little bit more of those fashion souls enthusiasts who want to do glams, or who want to do a particular layered armor set. It'll give more flexibility. Now, here's a little teaser. We're playing Where's Waldo right here. A very notable creator in the Monster Hunter community. So if any of y'all recognize that wide-brimmed hat, you know who this is. Needs absolutely no introduction as he's watching the presentation here. While we're in the village, there's a little bit of meandering that happens in the village. We grab the sacred, and then all of a sudden, woof, we're out on the field. We were talking about whether or not this would be segmented, if this would be an open world. There was an entire conversation I did about the implications of the mountain, this being an open world or not, or if it is, what kind would that mean? But one of the implications of this being an open world means that, okay, that there's no more load screen between the hub world or the village and then the world or the map that you are going to go hunting on. It's become very, very seamless and very integrated into the experience, which I actually like. It's going to be a bit of a departure, but I find that it's going to feel natural, or at the very least, it looks natural from the way that this presented here. I'm very, very happy about this. It's very fluid and very lifelike, and there's some aspects of the interactions here that become lifelike, especially where Tokuda notes that, oops, I wasn't anticipating this. The Monster Hunter AI is not fully scripted. The behavioral AI was not scripted to just have these Doshaguma run off, but he got caught off guard while he was in his demonstration because of the fact that this herd just decided, no, see it, bye. And he remarks on that. So monster behavior, similar to the experience when they were showcasing World, there was some unanticipated monster behavior just because of how varied and true to life that the AI was built to be. With that being said, we've also got the weather patterns and the weather changes. This is coming up here quite shortly, in fact. The weather is going to take a turn. And just like how we saw in the initial trailer where the inclement weather comes through, just like a sweeping cloud, yeah, it is that quick. The storm will catch you very quickly, and it does have an impact not just on the environment, but also on the monster behavior. And just a moment ago, your Palico, yeah, there we go. The Palico states, my whiskers are tingling, weather's changing, just to give you a heads up that it's about to get stormy, which is pretty cool. And it does start to roll in. Oh, you can actually see it right on the horizon there. You can see it right on the horizon. Also, neat little touch here. There is that expanded bar, that expanded item bar. Let me see if I can pause it here for you real quick. But with the expanded item bar where you can grab items that are in a list like that instead of just rotating or scrolling through your items in your pouch. And then right here, we can see the storm actually coming. Whoop, here it comes. And whoosh, it's that quick. It comes over, and I mean, it makes a very dynamic experience for sure, but it can catch you off guard. It impacts not only the weather, but the monster behavior, and then of course what sort of monsters might show up. And there is a small little detail that stuck past us while I was talking. Let's see if I can stop the camera just in time, because I thought this was kind of nice. There we go. There she is. That's Alma, our handler. So while we had the handler that accompanied us on quests in World, she stuck around the camp, right? Alma actually is on her sacred, hanging out with us. It doesn't look like she participates in combat in any capacity. More on that a little bit later in the video, but she's there with you. She's hanging out with you. She's putting herself in danger for whatever reason, just to journal your success. That's what it is. On behalf of the guild, she authorizes this hunt. And here we can actually see some very familiar glowy beetles. Look at that, wedge beetles are back, and we can yoink. Look at this, right down into a mount, which is really quite cool. I like the fact that wedge beetles are back. I wasn't entirely sure if they would be or not, given the additional mobility afforded by the mount, but here we are, and right into a jump. Now, another thing that we we have is the wounding mechanic, which is highlighted by those red scout flies. But right here, we just got an item. So one thing that was curious to me is if we're dealing damage or breaking parts or wounds for that matter. Look at, we just got Doshiguma Fur Plus. So it seems that item breaks don't actually require us to hop off the fight or jump out of the fight and frantically run around trying to scoop up all the goodies before they just disappear on us. Barring the carving mechanic, we just seem to get the items themselves when we deal that sort of damage. So here we have a monster fight. This is a conflict between monsters. This is actually new. Later in the video, there is an official turf war, and it signifies turf war in the same way that Monster Fight did. What the nuance is between Monster Fight and turf war, I'm assuming that Monster Fight is whenever there are like smaller monsters that happen to be defending themselves or trying to escape a predatory monster like the Doshiguma would, whereas a turf war are two more large predatorial monsters that would duke it out with each other for literal turf. I'm assuming that that's the nuance of the difference between them. Now, we've seen a little bit of this sort of interactive environment from the earlier trailers where the stalactites are able to be interacted with. But here is a great thunder bug, which acts as kind of like the paratoads, if you want to call it that, where we have endemic life that we can interact with to set traps, right? Like kind of like the flash flies, for example. And here we go. And we can see on the right-hand side a little bit of a infographic stating whether or not this was effective. And in this case it was, but Great Thunderbug, effective, which is cool. We get some of that, and then overhead slash, charge, strong overhead slash, or focus slash. We get a sort of readout that tells us what exactly the attack was that we committed to. So more information on the HUD about what's going on or what's happening, what's being done. I like that. I actually like the aesthetic design of this too. I've seen some folks, they criticize in the upper right-hand corner, or upper left-hand corner, excuse me. They criticize a little bit of the aesthetic design here because it's busy. It's actually, it's dynamic. It's quite flowy, and maybe that might be distracting to some. I personally like it, but your mileage may vary. Now, right here, we can see how this little segment of fulgurite can actually be interacted with using that claw. Here we go. And bonk! So a lot of the environmental dynamics are key to success in the hunt, which I very much like. Here we go, wound destroyed, and got items from the wound destroyed as well. And now you can see down in the lower left where the map is, yep, right there, you can see that skull. So the skull is still there to indicate a monster is currently weak. I just love how very peppy and streamlined a lot of this is. And this is where we got that win, a little bit of information about the multiplayer, because multiplayer didn't work. They just dropped, and Tokuda just dropped an SOS flare. Cool. Okay, we know what the SOS flare is. It opens up our game. Hunters can join and save us. They're single player right now. They're not playing multiplayer. Support Hunter Alessa, Support Hunter Olivia, and Support Hunter Rosso all joined the quest. These are NPC AI hunters. They are not players that are actually being controlled by another individual. This will give you that sort of multiplayer experience. You may feel one way or another about it. I imagine that the first thing that comes to mind is like, oh god, I don't want AI to mess up my hunt. Like every time that I try to drop a trap, what are they gonna do? Are they just gonna lead it away? What's going on? Those sorts of things have been considered, and they were actually talked about multiple times during the course of the interview, this whole segment here, where let's say you do drop a trap. The AI is built to understand that and to know that, okay, well, cool, there's behaviors on behalf of the player that we want to strategize with, and those strategies are baked in, so that way they will assist with leading it to the trap or setting you up for a next attack, things like that, where those hunters, the AI hunters, are actually pretty intelligent, and that was a matter of pride for Tokuda as he was speaking on the matter. So I believe that some of the concerns that we may have with NPC hunters assisting us can be alleviated there, and in reality they're not necessary, right? I mean, we could always just play with other hunters, so if you don't like it, you can opt not to use it. There's nothing in this video that would indicate to me that I absolutely must have multiple hunters to be able to, you know, progress in the game or to complete a quest. Most of these quests, for instance, here's the traps, by the way. Most of these quests, for instance, are seamless and out on the map anyway. You kind of get to make of it what you want to make of it. And here we go. You can see that all three of those hunters helped guide or helped lure the Doshiguma into the vine trap and are now starting to capitalize on that. I thought that was very neat. Now, slightly earlier in the video here, we see a notification pop up saying supply items have been restocked. So those items, the restock that you get, is kind of like what you would have from the chest at each of the camps that you would deploy from. So earlier Monster Hunter games, you would choose your quest, you would embark on the quest, and then you go to whatever camp it is on the map that you are being deployed to, and there's a chest there. You can eat food, you can go in the tent and restock, stuff like that. So in this case, we don't really have that. We're not leaving out of a particular camp necessarily. You can, depending upon where you are on the map, and if you're using a pop-up camp. More on that later. But the reality is that it all just goes right to your secret pouch. So you get these restocks, kind of like how the ingredients replenished were on a timer. Similarly, you would get these restocks for supplies while you're out on the field, and it goes straight to your secret pouch, encouraging longer expeditions or longer hunts out on the field, so you can spend more time out hunting and less time in going back to camp, just so you can get a couple more items so you can get back out to the fight. They really did a lot to streamline so much of the experience, like the hunt experience. And one of the biggest complaints about, say, the Clutch Claw was that it broke up the dance. It broke up the experience of the hunt. They really wanted to get rid of things that also broke up that experience, such as having to fast travel so that way you could resupply, or having to do things like go back to camp so you could eat again, or whatever the case may be that comes to mind. They wanted to make sure that that was integrated into the combat experience. And with some of the information, some of the stuff that they touch on in this video, with how much there is to do just going out on the field, they want you to spend that more time out there, and they don't want things that are going to break up the flow and fluidity of your hunt. And there's going to be a lot of chasing, where there's going to be not just like we were tracking, for example, like we would think of tracking in Monster Hunter World. There's pursuit of monsters, or luring monsters for that matter, which make it much more of a fully fledged hunt, as you would think a hunter hunts its prey when you're hunting out in the wild, if you've ever gone hunting for animals, for example. So they really wanted to make this really true to form and true to life, and I'm very impressed by that. Now, later on in the video, we get to see them. This is in that little glass office there, where there's another second segment. And one of the cool things that the skill system does here, let me see if I can stop it. Okay, so you have the equipment skills. We're used to equipment skills, right? You know, you would pair the different equipment skills together, or different sets, so that way we could have skills. It would be it would be strange not to have skills for our armor, but they took it a step further, actually, where now your set bonus skills can actually be mixed and matched to some degree. I don't know to what degree just yet, but mixed and matched between like monsters, where like monsters will have similar set bonus skills. So if it's a big woolly monster like a Doshiguma, if there are other monsters out there that are big and woolly, well, you now have another monster's parts that can also take advantage of the same set bonus. Taking it even a step further than that, our weapons are actually going to also have bonuses. They're going to have their own skills or their own effects that might be unique to each of the weapons themselves. So I'm not talking about, you know, a bow is going to have long range skills or anything along those lines. I'm talking about how the glaive could have this skill, or the next glaive from a different monster could have that skill, which is going to further deepen and widen the repertoire of a hunter out on the field, especially when you add in the implications of being able to bring multiple weapons out on the field at a time. So now we're not only just considering, okay, what's my raw damage or what's my elemental affinity? We're now talking about what sort of skill and how we can tweak our build. How do we specialize, and what do I want to bring to the hunt, especially if we're playing multiplayer and we decide, hey, cool, I'm going to play a particular class and I want to really dive into what a specific class is. So Tokuda he's on a live stream in this video, this segment right here. He's actually talking to Jono and his interpreter at the moment, but the stream chat wanted to see lance. Fair enough. One thing that he mentions here about the lance is that, hey, lances are meant to be that kind of tanky class. They can do a lot of defense, which is nice. They can soak a lot of damage. They're there to keep the monster busy and at bay. Now, not only does the lance excel at soaking damage, any defense or any weapon that can defend can do this power clash skill, which allows them to essentially repel an attack. So not only do we have the ability to soak damage, we also have the ability to crowd control. And further on, we see him get his slinger ready, and he's equipped a luring pod. If you've ever fought Safi Jiva, or if you've ever fought Behemoth in the crossover in Worlds, you'll recognize these red lines. It's the tether lines that you have the monster's attention. You have the monster's aggro, which is, again, another piece of kit or another skill that you can utilize to ensure that you can specialize into the role that you want to play. So if you want to play a tank role, great, bring your lance, get that shield, and get those luring pods, and you'll be able to help control the monster's attention and the monster's behavior. It's a form of crowd control, making sure that, kind of like a traditional tank would be there to soak up all the aggro and to take that damage, while the other DPS hunters can be focused on getting those weak spots or attacking for effect. And here, as he's running away from those Doshiguma, luring them with intent, we'll get to that shortly here, but this is the pop-up map. So this is what happens when you expand the map. It's a large map that sits between the full map that you would think of when, say, you open the book in Monster Hunter World. This is actually a fully manipulatable map where you can rotate and you can shift the angle of it. It's something that's a little less obtrusive, so that way you can continue out on the field, continue riding, while still manipulate the map and know where you're going. And the map is huge. It's absolutely huge. But the map is large enough to have multiple instances of different locations where you have the same monster. So this is a monster. This is the same monster. You've got 3 Doshiguma. Sure, that's fine. But these don't tend to hunt in pairs. So when we're out on the field, we could hunt multiple of the same monster if we're really trying to like grind for mats for whatever that monster's weapon is or whatever that monster's armor set is. It makes it a lot easier. We're still out on the field. Oh, look, there's another one that's in zone 6 as opposed to zone 13. Let me go that direction. So the map being as large as it is doesn't feel like it's overly large to the point where it's just random space or it's just empty fields with nothing to do in it. There's plenty, and we want that extra runway when we're doing things like this, where I was talking about earlier, where we're actually engaging in the hunting. We're stalking our prey, or leading our prey, as the case may be, here. In fact, Tokuda led this Doshiguma all the way this direction just to separate it from its own pack. He was able to use a dung pod here. What happens in the background is telling. And there's a Balahara as well, and oh! The Balahara just got wrecked by Ray Dow. And now we have a 3-monster, it doesn't say it's a turf war, but there certainly is a 3-monster confrontation here, where the 3 of them scuffle one with another. You could be hunting your own monster, minding your own business, and 2 other monsters decide to have it out with one another while you're on the sidelines, you know, tracking your own monster. They could get involved. The tide of the hunt could change so quickly and so dynamically. It's very exciting, and you definitely don't want to be on the wrong side of Ray Dow. Now you can see here that the map itself can be opened up similarly to what it was in Monster Hunter World. It can be rotated, it can be zoomed in or zoomed out. There's also these areas here where you can see that there's a level of verticality here, but also right over here. So in the similar vein of how much verticality, and they called attention to the verticality of World and in Wilds, in that same sort of vein, there's going to be a lot of surfaces for you to engage in your hunt on, which is exciting to me. I think that it will certainly serve its purpose. I think it will impress a lot of hunters when they finally jump into it. Like, this looks really, really well done. What I find actually quite cool is right here, this is the village. This is the village itself, which is actually different than the hunting. I want to say village, but I don't really know how to differentiate it, because the village is here and we're so used to that being the place that you hunt out of, but this is the camp. This is the primary camp. So this village here where the villagers are, and then this camp here, which is where you run your operations out of as your primary camp. And then there's 2 pop-up camps here and here, which I'll get into in a moment. But there is fast travel absolutely confirmed, which we have right here. There we go. Okay, so we have this base camp as a fast travel location. Cool. We have Kunafa Village, which is the village itself. That's roughly right here. Actually, it's right here. Yep, roughly right here. So the base camp and the village are 2 separate entities. We have 2 pop-up camps, which he actually travels to, but this is indeed a fast travel point. And so when we get to the fast travel point, this is the area that you can go return to every time that you end up fainting. So if you cart, you'll be able to recuperate or recover or respawn back at one of these pop-up camps. What I wonder is, if you cart, do you get a selection of pop-up camps? Like, you just get to choose where you want to spawn out of or not? I know that the pop-up camp is where, say, your AI SOS support hunters come from, but I wonder how it determines which one gets picked, because there were 2 pop-up camps out on the field. So I wonder if the pop-up camp itself is something that you can put a couple of and then just choose from, just like you would, the fast travel there. But the other thing that I found was actually quite interesting, when we jump into the actual camp itself, he goes through this menu real quick. So let me see if I can snag it right as he walks in. Hold on here. There we go. Okay, so it says transfer items. It doesn't say like restock items or like item box, for example, even though the icon just above it, you can't see it behind my camera, but the icon right above it is a chest. It doesn't look like you would be grabbing items in the same way that you would in World. At least I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that there's a limitation to kind of the box scumming, as it were, where we just infinitely restock the items at our disposal. They're already giving us supply items out on the field at intervals of like 10 minutes. So if that's in our Sacred's pouch, then there really shouldn't be a need for it. Still, we'll need to know more once we get a little bit more gameplay, but you can do a crafting list, so stuff that you procure on the field. I would think that they want us to lean more towards that. I know that they do, in fact, because of something that's a little bit later in the video. So we'll get to that in a second, but the other piece of this is that these are pop-up camps, and the nice part about it, hey, okay, you can respawn there after your card. You can change your equipment you know, mid fight or while you're out on the field for kind of brief reprieve. Awesome. So the closer that you are to a monster, the more convenient it is when you cart, right? Like that makes sense to me, except for the fact that in the event that you're too close to the monster and the monster happens to pop up on your pop-up camp, that there's good risk that your pop-up camp could be attacked, could be destroyed while you're out on the field or while you're trying to take this monster down, or who knows, maybe other monsters might just happen upon your pop-up camp and suddenly now you've got to fend them off because it's not just the monster that you're hunting that you've got to worry about, but other monsters now too. You see how Doshiguma travel in packs and herds, for example. So I think that that'll add an interesting layer of dynamics where we're not just going to be hunting the monster and going to be trying to boss rush and kill everything and grind up those mats. We're actually going to be utilizing the environment, being more aware of our positioning within it, right? So we now have an easy pitfall trap. Hey, cool, we got this supply item that we were talking about in the secret pouch. It's actually sacred. I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time, so forgive me for mispronouncing it if I do. I saw secret, I thought, oh, that's such a good name, and then realized that it's sacred. So maybe it's a play on the word sacred, I don't know. Either way, Tokuda here drops a pitfall trap. He's getting it ready and poised in his fight with the Doshiguma, so he can trap it, right? So he's, let's see here, going to drop it right about here, I think. Yep. It deploys. Hey, cool. We've seen a pitfall trap a million times before, but did you notice it? Do you notice it? Right here. Right here. How many times have we dropped a pitfall trap and all of a sudden the monster's like, yeah, you know what? My mom's calling me, and so they go the exact opposite direction. This is so good because it sucks when you burn an entire trap, then you have to go back to camp to go get another one. They want us to stay out on the field. They want us to stay. Our gameplay sessions should be as long as or as short as we want it to be, where we're not having to be like, oh, I burned my trap and now I've got to go back to camp and now it's interrupting the flow of the gameplay, where this is the hunt segment for me. I love this so much. And I think that these small little pieces or these small little attentions to detail that they are demonstrating here has been a indication of how that they've been listening to the community and what the community has loved about Monster Hunter and what the community has loved about World, but things that they think that they could do to polish on the formula and to really iterate on that formula. And there we go, pitfall trap. And we also got that little notice, pitfall trap was effective. Cool. Now, one last thing that I want to touch on, which is exciting. We all have been there. We've all done it before. We've been like, oops, I'm out of rations. Time to field cook. Let's break out the portable barbecue, right? This actually shocked me. In none of the, I'm surprised that I didn't recognize this sooner, right? In none of the teasers, in none of the trailers, there has not been an instance where the pre-hunt prep of eating and getting meal buffs has been part of it. And for all of us hunters who have ever played Monster Hunter, at some point in time, we kind of kick ourselves and we kind of laugh because like, tee-hee, whoops, I forgot to eat. Or I forgot my meal buffs. Or I forgot to bring rations to be able to up my stamina again. This is the answer. He's got his SOS support hunters out there. They're hanging out. They're having a good time. They're having a party with the Doshiguma. He pops this out, right? Recommended meals, custom meals. Look, ration, additional ingredients, finishing touches. Use your rations to prepare a meal. So now rations are going to have their own subtype. There's going to be additional ingredients that allow you to line up different effects. We're going to have different types or different styles of rations that we can then cook, that we can bring a field that will give us our food buffs, meaning that the different ingredients, the different food that we procure on the map, or that we procure while we're out on the field, are going to determine what sort of buffs we have access to, which is quite interesting. I don't know if this is something that we'll be able to do and we'll be able to eat before our hunts or not, if that's something that they still intend to and didn't really highlight it, because of course you could. It's been a staple of the Monster Hunter games forever. Why wouldn't it be? Or if it's actually, this is what they intend to replace all of that with, so you're not spending your time in the village pre-hunt prepping, and you can actually procure this on the field. Or maybe they're doing both. Who knows? The point is that he goes through this, and while it's a little bit difficult to show, he takes a ration here, because it's right behind my camera. He's got the meat, right? Additional ingredients, drool shroom, and then for finishing touches, he adds some herb. I believe it is. So he adds the drool shroom. Yeah, wild herb he goes for, but he could have added honey. Start cooking this meal, bada bing. You got your meat, you got your mushroom, and then ta-da! Just like Salt Bay that. There we go. But he was able to get a couple of different buffs and effects because of it, and we'll actually, here we go, status effects, right? Elemental resistance +5, attack +2, health and stamina, food skills, black belt meal. Look, what is that meal? Yeah, black belt meal, I think is what it said. But you can see here, yes, it is an immunizer meal. So right here, this has got a status effect. We've got wild herb, which gives us elemental resistance. This almost reminds me actually of what the cooking was like in Breath of the Wild. Just chuck a bunch of ingredients and see what you get out of it. But at the very least, you do get an idea of what the effects will be, and then you get this entire effect here, which tells you what the duration is and what the status effects or impact is. So I think that that's really neat. Excuse me, really neat, without us having to worry strictly about the canteen itself. Yeah, honestly, I would happily tuck in. Why does Monster Hunter food have to look so good? Stop eating in front of me, dude. No. Yo, he's having a grand old time. The funny thing is that they mentioned how if you're actually cooking, or if even, I don't know if it's like in the middle of the eating animation or not, but if you're cooking, if you're during that prep portion of it, that you can get attacked. So don't do that just on the fly and expect that the monsters are going to sit there patiently waiting for you to finish your meal. Either way, this has been so much fun. I am so hyped for this. There's so much good stuff, and apparently they're going to try to make sure that multiplayer works tomorrow. I don't know if that's going to show off more of the features and functionality of Monster Hunter Wilds that we're not already privy to from this demo. I would love for them to announce that they're going to be making this demo public to everybody, because I mean, it looks good, and obviously I feel like it's good. I mean, just look at this. This is running on PS5 hardware. It's running fantastically, and it's a spectacle to say the least. So I would love for us to be able to try it out on our preferred hardware, but my biggest concern, I'm always hoping that it wouldn't be an unfortunate experience for our PS5 fellow hunters. So for them to be able to try it out and to get a look and feel for it, awesome. I'm not as concerned because I'm going to be playing it on PC. I'm not trying to be all PCMR about it, but I mean, at the very least, I can upgrade my parts. I have that modularity, not so much for PS5 owners. Also, nice little touch. You can climb on top of the carcasses now when you carve, so you're not just running inside. And you can see that the quest complete dialogue here, it's all kind of integrated, and you got your bonus rewards and your rewards, like the quest completion. It's all a little modal that pops up, and it's very inobtrusive. These are just ways that they have streamlined this game to the nth degree. It looks very nicely polished, and I'm very excited for whatever it is that they're going to be bringing to attention tomorrow, and then the other one on Friday as well. So talk to me. What was your most exciting part? What did you already know? Did you watch the whole thing, or are you going to tune in tomorrow? Because my Pacific-based hunters, God's bless you, because 4 a.m. I'm not getting up for Monster Hunter that early in the morning. But with all y'all out there, what are you hoping to see? Will they release the demo at the end of Gamescom? I'm really hoping so. I want that release date as well. And if you haven't already done so, I mean, in the description below, there's a link. I'm giving away a copy of the game. And so the giveaway will be open until the game comes available for pre-order, at which point I'll announce the winner, and the winner will receive either a game key or a digital download, like a Steam gift, or a PayPal in the amount of the base version of the game. So yeah, like, take advantage of that, get your name in there, and tell me what you're looking forward to most. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you. I am Jade. I've been covering Monster Hunter Wilds ever since it was announced at TGS, not TGS, TGA 2023, and I have been just so in love with this, and so in love with the journey and the conversations and comments that we've gotten to have. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I will see you in the next video, and until then, I will see you in the comments below. So make sure to get your comments in. I want to talk to you about what we're going to expect this week. And may the Sapphire Star guide your way. Take care, everyone.